modalities to support people, especially somatic experiencing, which works at the root cause, the nervous system's autonomic nervous system, which has been my pleasure to support so many people with childhood trauma, which most of us have. And so my real thing, besides motherhood, has been really inspiring myself to keep motivated, but supporting and being there for other people as they evolve into our consciousness and into the new person that we all have this drive to be our highest, most evolved self. But sometimes things get in the way, like stuff, right? So that's me in a nutshell. I'm a super learner, a lifetime learner, and I always will be. And so I've got all kinds of certifications and this and that, and I'm still inspired by how can I support you?
Aww. I feel very much the same. I went a little nutty after I got my doula training, and I started getting a little training happy, and I was doing I want to be certified in everything. I had to finally slow it down. I, hadn't really even started the business yet, so my wallet was hurting. So tell us a little bit about your story getting up to this. Like, was there an inciting incident or something that happened that was like, I know what I need to do with my life? Have you been doing what you do now your whole life, or?
Oh, no. In fact, it's been an evolution like anything else. I mean, I have 2 husbands, 2 sons from different husbands. I've never anticipated much of what happens in my life. But what I have done is trusted my soul and my guidance to do what I'm drawn to do. So I was drawn to do a lot of things, like teaching aerobics before that was cool, drawn to running before anybody knew what running was. I was the crazy lady in the neighborhood. I was drawn to just whatever I feel drawn to. I don't let anything stop me. So in my progression of healing myself and taking care of myself, I found this physical therapist that was doing the somatic experiencing training. And what she was working with me, and I was her guinea pig, I'm like, wow, this is stuff. And I knew without a doubt that I needed to get this training. I read all the books about it. And so it was something down the path for me. And during that, I think I was 50 when I'd tell my hairdressing clients, they'd say, I've been doing this for 25 years and I'm so bored. And I'm like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach yoga, which I did. I went out at 50, I got certified, I started teaching yoga and meditation. And again, that was part of my evolution, my healing. But I also can bring it to everybody else at the same time. And I was drawn to the somatic experiencing, not only because I was having it done on me and seeing that, wow, meditation helps me, and wow, yoga helps me, but it doesn't get at the root cause of the nervous system dysregulation that allows me to go right back into being triggered and upset and highly activated and unable to really deal with it, even though, you're up in your head and you're ruminating and you're trying so hard to convince yourself that you're okay. But if the nervous system, meaning your neuroception and interoception in your body, don't think you're safe, you will not relax. And that means you have to create the environment so your body says, I'm safe, I can relax, I can let the head and mind go, I don't have to worry about this, I can be okay just where I'm at. And that's what the somatic work helped me get to. And since then, it's been like my passion to support everyone to get there. And during that, we also created an online course so that you can do this work at home and you don't have to go through years of therapy. You can do it right at your home at your own pace.
Oh, I love that. And I love that, this type of training like that where I don't have to go somewhere. I can just do it in privacy of my own home. I love those things. I have anxiety disorder, and for the longest time, it used to be way worse, but I have fear of flying, like airplanes. I couldn't even go to an airport for a long time. And I've been slowly trying to get past that. I've taken a few trips because we went across the ocean last year to go to Ireland, and I can't be on an 8-hour flight losing it the whole time. So I did, anyway, got through that. But the funny thing about anxiety is, even though I'm in a moment like that, I know I'm safe, and I'm not nervous at all, but my body is freaking out. Heart's racing, palms are sweating, and then that makes my mind go, well, maybe I am nervous. So,
definitely, your body always knows before your mind does. Your body has 80% of the neurons come from the body, and after vagus nerves tell your brain how you're feeling. And every psychologist wants to say, your brain tells you. No, it's not. Your body tells you if you're safe, which is why your animals always know a safe person, because we can feel it. And so anxiety is simply, I love breaking things down to the simplest part, it's simply your body telling you, Nikki, I'm not safe. And you're right. We can tell ourselves we're safe, we can look around and say, look, you're safe, we can try to convince ourselves. But if we've lived with a nervous system that's learned being activated all the time, and that's what it's lived, that's what we built. That's why it's so important that we learn to let go, which we learn in yoga, we learn in meditation, we learn in other aspects, but our society doesn't teach letting go. It doesn't reward you for resting and taking care and coming down into that healing state.
That's what
parasympathetic is. It's our healing state. It rewards us to stay activated in our mind and busy and
A little bit. She was talking about anxiety and the body not feeling safe, and I think that has a lot to do with feeling not in control. It's when I get anxious and worked up. But if you have, like what she's saying, trauma kind of built into your life experience, and your baseline is I am not safe, then you're more likely to be triggered in heightened situations. Because you just inherently already believe you're not safe. Or at least that was my take so far.
We're going to go into parasympathetic state and find that calm and that relaxation where we get nourished and we get detoxed and we get healed and the body goes into healing mode.
Oh, so true, so true. So when I do finally relax, and I really relax, it's like dopamine. I don't need drugs. I just need to relax.
And we need to get addicted to that state.
Yeah.
Many of us are addicted to the cortisol, adrenaline, vasopressin. Boom, like, I feel alive, I am super. And it is until it knocks you down and tells you, I'm going to wear you out and put you in bed if you don't pay attention.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you also for mentioning pets. I know we were chatting before we started recording about that because my cat's been acting very fearful lately. And it's so true. My last cat, she was my soul cat, my best friend for almost 20 years. And she knew, even if I wasn't displaying any emotions or acting somewhat normal, she knew when I was not okay. And she would come to me and want me to sit with her. She would like paw at me until I sat down on the floor and she would curl up in my lap. So
yes, and so now Stephen Porges will tell you that dogs help regulate us, right? We want a dog. We want that. But cats, they're independent. They could care less. They're looking for us for their regulation. Like they'll come around when they need to feel that safety, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're okay on their own.
Hard to do on a herd.
yeah, sounds like me. Anyway, and I had a thought, and I remember now. So we were chatting a little bit before this about you were reading some very interesting things about death recently, and I'd love to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Did you have questions, or you just want me to?
Well, I mean, explain to me what you were explaining before we hit record. Should I record?
I'm going to go into a little more background.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I got
As a certified yoga instructor, the corpse pose, and if any of you don't know yoga, at the end you lay down on the ground in what's called a corpse pose or shavasana, and that is our chance to practice letting go. Because in shavasana, we slowly let go of the tensions we're holding on to, or the thoughts we're holding on to, or whatever. And I often would start a class with, here's a bag, put whatever you don't need to be in this class that's not keeping you present in it. And so we let go of anything that's preventing us from going into that deep relaxation state, which we have to learn, we have to practice, we have to do it. But that's what yoga, corpse pose is about, is practicing letting go, because eventually we have to let go of everybody, everything, including this corporeal mass we're carrying around. And so we have to get good at letting go, which is why, Nikki, my course, me and my partner, it's the Making Friends with Forgiveness, the art of letting go. Because society doesn't teach us how to let go. It teaches us how to hold on to things. And it teaches us to grudge and resent and hold on to these thoughts and ruminate. But in yoga, not only do we learn to let go, but there's certain terms, and I know I'm going to mess them up, but there's certain ways that we have an instinctual way of survival. That it's just what's in our innate cellular makeup. It's biologically imprinted. And one of them is like this instinct to always survive. It's like if a bus is coming at you, you're going to do it. You're just, it's that autonomic nervous system just always keeping you safe, which is what I teach. But there's that instinct, and that's called Adinadabesha. And I'm probably not saying it right, but it is part of our makeup. So there's always going to be a part of us that is like destined to try to survive.
Yeah, and I love that you brought this up. I say it all the time. There is so much to be said for human will, right? And I see this in my work. And everybody feel like has heard stories about somebody who was dying and they just held on for like so much longer than we thought. And I always want to ask the question, what were they like, while they were healthy? Like how was their demeanor leading up to this? Because a lot of those people were either really willful or really passionate and they're just not good at letting go, or really angry. Because they're not good at letting those things go, right? And then there's the people I've met, and I've seen this personally. I have 2 or 3 clients said the words out loud, "I'm ready to die," and they're still like, even the hospice is like, they probably got some time left, and they're gone the next day. Because they're just like, I'm ready, I'm good, and they have that ability to just let it go.
And that's a learned experience. That letting go is a learned experience. we have to build up the neural pathways, which is called the ventral vagal nervous system. And in our little nervous systems, when we're first born, we have a dorsal vagal, which is prepare yourself for death. That's what our dorsal vagal does. And it switches you into depressed state, shut down your organs, your breath, and that. And so you have a dorsal vagal and you have a sympathetic mobilization. But the ventral vagal, which is our ability to have social interactions, to be able to rise slowly into a feeling state, instead of going from here to gas pedal on the floor and so upset, I'm out of my mind angry. You lose all that nuances because you don't have a ventral vagal nervous system. And that's what my work and our coursework does, is builds that ventral vagal, which should have been built for the first 17 years of our life with a caregiver that was there, showing us all the things that we needed for a stable attachment. And if those needs, and if any of you out there are interested, I have those 6 needs on my YouTube channel. We needed to be seen, we needed to be heard, we needed to be understood, we needed to be loved, we needed to be supported. And there's one I'm missing, darn. But if our support system didn't show up in those ways, and we weren't seen for who we really were, we didn't show up, we might have gone into a functional free state, a dorsal state, because I can stand there and cry because I'm hungry and no one's showing up. And finally I'm going to realize my body's going to say, you can't stay this upset, you have to shut down. And so, because we have no capacity when we're young to soothe ourselves. If we're upset, we need another co-regulator, because our nervous system does not have the ability, just like our brain takes 25 years to mature. So letting go is something that isn't taught, and most of us don't have the wiring to do it. And then we get frustrated with ourselves and we think, what's wrong with me, my willpower? And it's not. It's you don't have the wiring that you needed to have built.
Yeah. Oh, that worries me about myself. I'm not great at letting go, and I'm terrible at relaxing. We were talking about that a little bit ahead of time too. So, yeah, I hope I'm not one of those people that sticks around far too long.
You need my course.
I probably do. A lot of people probably do.
Yes, exactly. The world does, actually. And it was conceived with my partner and I, based on my experience with so many clients throughout my life, and so many of my own hairdressing. I mean, I was like, if I had money for every time a hairdressing person said to me, thanks, you've helped me more than 5 years of therapy, I'd be like, yay! And that was the part that I loved. That was the part that really inspired me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So, if you are willing, would you share a little bit of your own journey with, overcoming things that you've had to overcome in your past to become this amazing person that you are today?
I would be happy to share, but I'm not quite sure what you asked because I missed the first part of the sentence.
Oh, okay. I just said if you are willing to share a little bit about your journey.
Oh, my journey. I thought there was something else in there that I missed. Well, I kind of have shared my journey. If you're talking about like the things that I did to get here.
Well, more like what in your personal life, have you had to overcome to get where you are today?
Okay. Well, I was very young. I was the scapegoat in the family, the truth teller, saying, you guys are drunken alcoholics, and my health is destroyed. I had ulcers in first grade. I was on tranquilizers my entire life. The doctors treated the little child that's not safe at home, and the alcoholic parents that he's also treating. That the kid, me, whose nervous system is so twisted, and my gut is so twisted, I've had stomach issues my whole life, not now. But it was early in my high school years that I knew and recognized, my sweetheart, that I am a product of the environment I'm living in. It's not me, it's the environment that I'm stuck in. And so it was real early that I started going into self-help and finding ways to support myself and doing the best that I can, living a healthy life. So that took me into, I've already said, running very early, teaching aerobics before it was mainstream, getting into self-help books. I was into therapy early in my life. I did some EMDR early in my life. I had a marriage and a child, and I went through a divorce, and that was very wounding, but I made it through because I was clear about how I felt. I was able to express how I felt, and even the anger, which we're taught, anger, but anger is our friend. It is our body telling us, you've been violated, you've been mistreated, this isn't good, you're not. So, and then of course we help deal with acceptable ways of dealing with anger, because it's such a beautiful emotion. I have learned throughout my life going through these types of things. I've been self-employed for almost over 50 years of my life, doing so many different things. But throughout my life, I've learned and taught yoga and meditation. I'm also 25 years into Reiki, which is the healing energy, which I always incorporate no matter what I'm doing in my world. And so there's been this part of me, those levels of spirit and parts of ourselves that have been able to grow when we've given them space. And I've been lucky enough to recognize that I need to move here, I need to grow here, and I've given myself, whether it be education or the space or time, to experience. And even when I was in my somatic training, I said, okay, I'm done. I'm going to live it. I'm just going to experience it. I'm done putting my head in a book because that's how I thought I learned. But we really learn by experience. That's what really teaches us.
Yep.
So every experience I had that I think this was negative, I thank all those people for. And my ex was a narcissist, but you know what? He was my greatest teacher. He forced me to get healthy. He forced me to really emotionally, mentally become the best person I could be. And so every experience has changed me in some way for the better, because I also believe, even though it hurts or it's been a negative experience, when I've had a few issues after I moved, 65 years I lived in the same state, and then I made a huge transition, and I did really well with it all. But you know, there's just things where you recognize that I could hold on to this, but it's not giving me peace, because we're not going to have peace in this world if we don't have peace inside. And my greatest learning experience was COVID, and giving me this time and space to do my work and not have to take care of other people in my service businesses. And those were the times that I realized that, wow, I am really in my greatest state when I'm in a parasympathetic state, and I've gotten myself deeply ingrained into it. I still teach my body, oh, how much deeper can we go? Can we let go of even more? What if I could get really comfortable in this bathtub and just really just let it go? And I still practice all this stuff, but just letting go of really small, minute things. We just find letting go of anything. The driver that made us mad, the kid that made us mad, the neighbor that made it, I mean, anything. If we can let it go and we can be in our peace, nothing can harm us. That's our power. That's our place of personal power. And anybody that can take that away isn't worth it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And I'm sorry, I keep muting myself. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, my cat has joined us. And he's sitting right next to the microphone, so I'm just waiting for him to bump it. And his little bell's jingling. Anyway.
I'm surprised he's here with us, because he's just loving the energy that we have.
I think so. He's also loving the microphone. Hi, buddy. You'll be my guest next week. Anyway, thank you for sharing all of that. And there were a couple things you've mentioned along the line about anger. And I'm just having this conversation with somebody earlier today about how many people, when it comes to grief, feel anger. And so much of what I do is, and I end every episode with telling people their feelings are valid, because they are. But we're so fearful about our bigger emotions, you know, or any emotion that is felt really deeply and strongly. We're just fearful of it as a society. So things like, you know, deep guttural crying, sobbing, mourning. We like look down on it. I think that's beautiful.
I love it.
Anger, when people we're like, oh, and you should never be angry. Don't be angry. I'm like, why not? I was angry. I've been angry when people around me have died. They're not here anymore, and I'm mad about it, right?
They left you. Abandonment.
Right. These are all just like valid emotions. It's just, you know, how we respond to them and what we do with them is what matters. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. And one of the things that I find with my clients is when I notice an emotion comes up, and oftentimes they're coupled, because when we're little, like I'll say, what would happen in your home if you were angry? Oh, that wasn't allowed. So we learn really early how to squelch our nervous system and not present ourselves with maybe sadness. What if you were sad crying? Oh, we weren't allowed to cry. You know, it all depends on, like, what if you're angry? What if you're fearful? What happened if you showed fear? And every home is different, right? But often they weren't acceptable emotions to be had, and we learn that really early, that if I need this person to survive, I have to not take on this authentic feeling. I have to do something with it. And that is when it goes stuck inside, it's overwhelming, and it turns into trauma, because we weren't able to process it the way we really need to process it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, hard to agree on that. So what would you say to somebody who might be holding on to that, you know, quote unquote bad, there are no good or bad emotions, I say that all the time, the bad emotions, like the big ones, and they're just like, yeah, I can't let that out. What would you say to them? You're just meeting them on the street, you don't have time to, you know, go through a whole thing.
Well, it depends on how much time they have.
Yeah.
But really, it has to start slowly. Like, you have to reward I believe in reward and positive reinforcement and things like that. And part of the reason we can't deal with those scary feelings is we don't have the bandwidth, the ventral vagal. But we also didn't learn. We learned if it showed up, it's because it popped out, and it was never well received by anybody. So we practice, like the little stuff. Like when I'm in the grocery store and that person bumped me. Okay, this is no big deal. It's a little accident. Now, if I'm already in an activated state, I might be ticked off. What are they doing? But if I'm in my parasympathetic, I'm like, oh, no big deal. It's okay, because in an activated state, everything is a threat, and everybody is a threat, and we're guarded. But